So the primordial ooze of 90s fighting games is the bodega. Doing a tiger, he was doing that, and like 6 fireballs were coming out of
Yes,
it.
I
So
remember that.
my brother actually used to rent from this place called Video Star Search that had we used to live on Elder Avenue, and he had Street Fighter 2. I'll never forget the way that looked. Street Fighter 2. It was so like I've always had a competitive nature when playing games, but I didn't really join any scene. It's always been there. These are guys that like they didn't take losing lightly, but that's what made them really good. Is that that's what made them really good. But I was never like that. I was always around it, but I was never like that.
How important?
I think I think having a sibling to play with within your age range is a huge advantage. Well, at first, also, it was in the 90s. I'd say like it was like the dark time of the arcade era where the arcades were so new in terms you had to stretch those 50 cents. You had to sometimes that dollar because depending where you played on Times Square, Marvel 2 at one point was $1.
Yes, it was.
In CF was what completely changed my entire perspective on playing video games, period. Then in MK9, I met some Dominican kid in Brooklyn when I went to a random tournament known as CD Junior. It turns out we lived down the block from each other, and I practiced with him and his brothers for that.
Was the writing on the wall that it was going to close?
Yeah, I mean, it had been the same for a while. Really good. Quake, not so much. Quake, if you're godlike, there's still 4,000 people better than you. I say that I can understand why it would seem that way, coming from elsewhere. For the most part, I'd say the most expensive one I saw was a $600 money match. A few days later, Justin and I I would see Justin all the time because he lived pretty close to Chinatown Fair. Also, I lived closer, but him and I would be there around some of the same times. So I saw him the weekend after. I said, "What happened?" He goes, "I didn't think he could do that." People would go through great lengths. There were, and I'm not going to name any names, but there was even a person who rode in a trunk because there was no space in the car for them to get to a tournament. And people traveled anyway, right? Because it was just this thing where, like, even Justin, who would win every tournament, the prize pools were nothing like what we have now. If you didn't get top 3, it didn't mean anything. Anything. That's why when this whole top 8 thing started, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, but I still feel like I lost. I didn't win the tournament.
Is esports bad for the FGC? Specifically the FGC?
It's a weird thing, right? Because it's still very new. It's still very new. Like, it's been around close to a decade. For instance, Evo has never really been my tournament of choice. Let me put it that way. And don't get me wrong, I love my commentators. I love Stage Am. I love Tasty Steve. I love Yipes. Yipes is one of my fucking close brothers. But it's like, I don't want to see you guys commentate every game. Like, there is the argument that, of course, he was not as good as he is now during the time where they were at their prime, right?
Yes.
But then there's the case where Chaos is also capable of doing things that those same guys weren't doing execution-wise. Ken is on a level that very few people have ever even seen. Those things where, like I said, time is his biggest rival. Is Ken godlike? Hell yeah. Ridiculous. I play that guy all the time. But can I say he's one of the guys? I can't do that because like the measuring stick for all of that has gone on the water a long time ago.
Of course.
He looked at me. He goes, "Dude, who the hell are you?" And I go, "Huh? I'm Josh. I'm from New York." He goes, "Dude, you're really good." I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." Like he was like really like praising me at that point, and a bunch of people just started praising me. Then I remember I went back to New York and I had superpowers. I was beating everyone. Everyone. I wasn't messing anything up. Like
You logged
I
into
just got out the car. I get in, we play for money. It's like 10-3, something like that. I beat him really bad. And he goes, "Dude, if you play like this the whole weekend, I'm betting on you." he goes, "You're gonna make me." The game right now is still really strong. Like right now, where people are mainly like in the East Coast, we still have our group of people that still play. Still to this day, I'm gonna go ahead and say they blatantly were ripping the bots format to do that. X Factor. X Factor is a bullshit mechanic, and it's a lot of like the Marvel 2 players. They were top players in Marvel 2, but they played Marvel 3 and they got upset. Partially ego, I'll say that. Yeah, he became a villain at one point.
Did that bother him? Did it bother?
I don't think it bothered him much. No, I mean, probably did. I can't say that for sure, but you know what's saltier than a Marvel 2 player playing Marvel 3? A Marvel 3 player playing Marvel Infinite. That's the saltiest thing I've ever seen. Like, I'm talking about... It's like, I'm such a weeb.
Choose your fighter.